avoid. All the things that we want to avoid from not only an IT perspective, but as a full-on, government perspective as well. It's normally not going to be a good day when you wake up and there's ransomware running rampant through your system, right? So what I'm going to do is I want to run through a little bit about who KnowBe4 is, what we can do to help you out, and the platforms that we can actually offer that can help you not only with the training and the phishing portion, as far as simulated phishing, but even handling reported emails, how to get that threat remediation down to minutes instead of hours sometimes, things like that. And then I noticed, Dan, you were talking earlier about rolling out a training platform, how we could actually work with that training platform as well. So instead of having 2 LMSs, you could use one if you wanted to as well, right? So we can definitely do all of that. All right. So just so you're aware a little bit about KnowBe4, we're based in Clearwater, Florida. We're not too far away from you guys, right? Probably about an 8-9 hour drive. Made that drive a couple times before. I used to actually, when I was in the Army, I was at Fort Stewart over there by Savannah. So I'm sure some of you are familiar with that area. A lot of woods, a lot of good times. But we're the world's largest integrated security awareness training and simulated phishing platform. There's really no one else out there that does what we do. Now, there are some other people out there that try, but it's usually what I find is kind of an add-on to what they do. This is our sole focus. This is our purpose in life, is to bring about new school security awareness training so that it's not the same PowerPoint for an hour, or you take this one course at the beginning of the year, things like that. We like to make it fun. We like to make it interactive and make sure that people are always learning. I know it does say over 39,000 customers. It's probably close to about over 40 right now. 41, something like that. But as you can see, we work with pretty much everybody. This is great for you guys because we can work pretty much with every department within your county as well, right? So it doesn't matter, what the person does, who they do, or who they work with, or where they work at, anything like that. Our training can apply to pretty much everybody. As we go through, just so you're aware, we also, like I said, focus on the people layer. So I do get some people that ask, hey, what do we do as far as like filters and firewalls and all that other good stuff? We don't do anything with it. We focus on the people. We like to say the people are your best last line of defense, because at the end of the day, when these phishing emails go out and everything like that, when they land in your people's inbox, that person that's looking at that email is literally, they can click or not click, and that's the decision that can snowball into something terrible or be nothing at all. Very easy process. Training, phishing, looking at data. Right, I'm sure that all you guys out there probably get a ton of reports every day and a ton of data you get to look through, which is always a good time. But in today's day and age, data is what's going to drive you forward. Data is what's going to determine how you move forward. So we like to look at the data. What happened? Did people fail a phishing test? How many people did the training? Whatever it happens to be, and then look at that data and then improve from there. Right. So we always make sure that we get a ton of good data in there. This is partially our PhishER platform. I will go over it quickly. I like to say focus on the bottom part down there, right? So we're going to help you efficiently manage email reporting, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys out there, guys and girls out there, love it when people knock on your door, give you a call, shoot you a text. Hey, look at this email from me real quick, and they forward you a potentially hazardous email, right? Always fun, especially when you're in the middle of something. Threat prioritization, quarantine removal of this stuff, of threats and things like that. And actually being able to take these emails that you're getting now, these threat emails, and turning them into phishing tests for a true to life, actual real scenario, right there on the spot. We actually recently did, and you can find this on our website, a Forrester case study. They looked at an organization that used us for the past 3 years. And a big thing they found is usually within the first 2 to 3 months, the platform pays for itself. And just maybe it's time that you're not spending going over reported emails. Maybe it's, whatever it happens to be, but there's usually a huge return on investment because it's just less stuff you kind of have to deal with at the end of the day. One of the big ones being that this organization per year saves about 500 hours in time of just going through reported email. Like, just think what you could do with 500 hours of time a year. Now, maybe they had about 10,000 employees. Break that down to what you have. But even if you could get 40 hours back a year, that's one work week. What could you do with an extra week? Usually in the IT world, it's a ton, right? There's a lot you can get done. We do also, because we have training partners that create training content for us located around the world, we do have a lot of our content in other languages. So if you do have employees that would prefer to or want to see the content in another language, we do offer that. Normally, the one I see the most in the Southeast is going to be Spanish as another language. And it's not just like, the training's still in English, but it's got like Spanish, closed captions or anything in it. It's actually all redone in a different language. So it's all remade in that other language. So it's still engaging as it goes through. A lot of things out there, as far as who we are and what we do. As far as security awareness training, we're considered kind of the top dog out there in this space. And just so you're aware of what we have, I'm not going to go through all this stuff today, right? Security awareness training and Phishing are the two big ones. We did just release Compliance Plus, so I know I haven't really spoken about this with anyone else there. This just came out about a week ago. We took the same energy and the focus we did on our security awareness training, that some of you even know how good that is and how fresh that content is, but we've done compliance training as well. So it is something, I know, Dan, you had mentioned that you can customize some of the training that you have in there. If you want to add in your own, there's about 78 pieces of content, everything from like HIPAA stuff to, I think we're going to start adding OSHA stuff in there for safety things. I mean, there's a lot of different compliance trainings that we're going to have in there. And we're obviously going to be adding it in there, and we'll obviously revamp a lot of the stuff when rules or laws change, things like that. And then we also have a GRC platform for anyone who's aware. Let me know. I can get you in touch with someone on our side. But handling audits, it can actually help you automatically handle a lot of audits, internal risk assessments, vendor risk assessments, all that stuff within one platform that's very easy to use and make sure all that stuff's getting done. So I like to open it up to any questions real quick before I hop into the platform if anyone has anything.
Any questions, anyone?
Nope. Alrighty. For some reason, it just kicked me off of my thing here, but that's not a problem. I can fix that real quick. All right, sounds like there's no questions, so we're definitely going to hop right in to the platform real quick. All right. So pretty much when you come into the platform, like I said, I know some of you have seen this before, so obviously, if anyone else from anywhere else, reaches out, you can definitely help out too. But pretty much what we're going to run through today and here will be the phishing training mod store section. I'll hit the other areas kind of lightly. I know that the phishing and training is really the big one here. So as we go through, if there's any questions, I will have the chat box open. So go ahead and put them in there, or if you want to speak, that's fine. I like to keep it, really nice and open for everybody here. But essentially, first thing you're going to see when you log in is a dashboard. I'd mentioned data before, and I know that data kind of, runs a lot of the ways a lot of people work. So we want to make sure that you had that same data too. So the first thing here is our virtual risk officer. For those of you that might not have like a chief information security officer or anything like that, or someone that kind of says, hey, here's how risk adverse we are to some things, this actually helps, because what it's going to do is combine every person in the organization will have a risk score determined by job title. You can even have a manual risk booster, training that's been completed or not completed, phishing test, passed and failed behaviors, things like that. And then give you an organizational wide risk score to give you an idea of kind of maybe how risk averse you are to someone clicking on a phishing email that comes in, right? In the green, you're good to go. And the yellow, maybe you just put out some training that's not completely done yet, things like that. As you move up this list, usually if you're in the red, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to get hit. Usually we find in the orange and red, some people start, getting a lot of things in, and you're clicking a lot, things like that. So it gives you an idea where you're at, so you can really bring that number down. You'll be able to see the last 6 months of phishing tests. I'll go over each one of these, what each color means here when we go to the phishing section. But the cool thing here is you can actually go ahead and compare yourself, right? Go by size, depending how big or how many employees you have. And we can go even to baseline, and it'll tell you baseline phishing, industry phishing prone percentage for government from 250 to 1,000 users. About 25% of your people, if they didn't have any training in place right now, would click on a phishing link if it came in. Kind of a scary number, but this is, numbers that we took from our customers and things like that, right? But as you can see, using our platform, after 90 days, that drops down by about 10%, and after a year, below 5%. And that's when you're usually stuck with your new hires and things like that who haven't gone through all the training yet. That are the ones that are going to be more adverse to clicking on phishing tests and things of that nature. Our Phish Alert button, it's a 100% free tool you can use. You can find it on our website. But as I mentioned before, a lot of people I know out there always love when people come knocking on the door or give them a phone call. Hey, look at this email for me real quick. The Phish Alert button literally goes in. It works in Outlook, 365, Gmail, things like that, and allows your employees to pretty much say, hey, that email looks a little suspicious. They click on that. It'll go ahead and remove the email from their inbox and forward it to whatever email address you want. Right. So we like to call it UUT for unnecessary and unusual traffic. A lot of times what will happen is, and this is just from people I've talked to, someone will forward you an email saying, hey, can you take a look at this? You got to respond back to them saying, can you send it as an attachment? So all the headers and all that fun stuff are there. It's back and forth. This one button just, takes care of all that for you. So we can, get right back to what we got to be doing. It does also work for Outlook and Gmail on phones as well. So if a lot of your employees get their email and look at it by phone, I know you mentioned a lot of officers and things out there can do your new training and stuff on their phone or tablet. This would also work in that environment as well. So they can report emails pretty much wherever they're at. Our security awareness proficiency assessment. So we have a couple of assessments. One's going to be a security knowledge assessment. One's a security culture assessment. This one, again, you can compare yourself to other government organizations out there and see, and these big 7 right here: passwords and authentication, security awareness. Kind of the orange bars you and your scores, the gray bars industry average, kind of where you stack up. And I can show you what the results look like and how it builds into our training as well. This you'll see up in the training area and things like that. So usually most people start off with training. So all of our training is located in the mod store. In the training section, we do use this as kind of like an LMS. You could upload your own content in here, but like I mentioned before, as Dan said, if you want to use the other LMS, when you sign up with us, you just let your customer success manager know, who's going to be a dedicated person that handles you and your account. That, hey, I would probably want to upload this into another platform. It's all what we call SCORM format. Dan, I'm sure the platform you have, that's what they take in. Pretty much all training's done that way. So you can go ahead and then we would allow your account to be able to download these, and then you could upload them into that other platform, right? So you could use that one platform for training. If you wanted to use the LMS we have built in here, no problem. You can upload your own content in here as well. It is a possibility. And then you could use it that way too. It's really up to you how you want to do that. So you'll have a couple options there. Some people would like to keep this separate from the other things. Some people altogether. Again, how you want to go ahead and do that. We do use a little bit of artificial intelligence in our training as well. So we'll have our featured content up here, but our recommended training right here, if we look through this list, this is literally training that we've put in here that a huge majority of our customers actually use, and it is very successful for them. So even like the Spot the Phish game, the 2021 Kevin Mitnick security awareness training, even like the common threats one right here. I mean, these things get used hundreds of thousands of times a month from our current customers. So definitely ones that work and a lot of people really like. We do a foundational training section. So for your first training you put out there, these are definitely the things you want to use, right? So security awareness foundations, here's a culture survey, the proficiency assessment, right? Your role, internet security and you. A lot of people might think, oh, I'm not high up on the ladder here. So I'm not going to get this kind of stuff. But everybody has to take a role in this, because if you have an email, you're going to get phishing emails. It's going to happen, right? Recommendations if people are failing the phishing test at a high rate, right? Monthly training, quarterly training, things like that. If we go through and look at everything we have in here, right, the total amount of content we have is going to be right about 1,300 pieces of training content, broken up between training modules, with or video modules. Some will have quizzes, some don't. The couple of the proficiency assessments. There's even newsletters and documents as PDFs in here. We even have in here as well. Posters and artwork. Some people hang them up around the office, make them screensavers, and change them out every month or something like that. So a ton of stuff in there. And then the publishers as well that I mentioned before, located all around the world. Popcorn trainings in South Africa, Twist and Shout, they're in England. El Pescador, South America. I believe Explokies is in like Denmark. And what's really cool about it, and this is unique, I think, really to what we do, is that while KnowBe4 will create training here in our U.S. office, all of these other organizations that are under the KnowBe4 umbrella are also creating training, but they're putting their culture into that as well. So if you're looking for something really direct and to the point for a training, Explokies is going to be the way to go, right? Them, in Denmark, that Germany area, just the culture, they're a little more straightforward, direct to the point kind of people. So that's their training also comes off that way. If you want something a little lighter, a little bit more fun, maybe El Pescador, very animated, right? Very, fun to look at, funny characters, things like that. If you're looking to put a little bit of humor in there, Twist and Shout, oh, wrong one. Twist and Shout is actually they are right here. They are actually a production company in England. And a couple of the things they've done, like these restricted intelligence, kind of think of like the TV show The Office, but around security awareness training, a little funny. Inside Man, we have 3 seasons out. The first one's actually on Amazon Prime, so any of you can watch it at home. But it's actually like a Netflix quality series. They're about 8 to 10 minutes an episode, and they're about 12 to 13 episodes a season. That goes over different points of security awareness training. I think this one they're trying to break into some high tech vault using like deep fakes and things like that. But after each episode, it'll go through at the end and recap. Hey, here's the stuff you would need to look out for as an employee that they used in social engineering, right? I will tell you with the Inside Man, and this is going to sound really, really crazy to a lot of you because it sounded crazy to me when I first heard it. We've had customers who put the first few episodes of the first season out, and after about a week, like 50 to 75% of the employees came back and said, "Are there any more of those episodes? We're invested. We need to watch them." I don't know if anyone's ever walked up to you and asked, "I want to do more training because it's fun." It probably never happened. I've never thought that would happen, but that's what they do with the quality of this stuff. I mean, it's won awards like Cannes Film Festival and things like that too.
Robert, you
But
have an
we have,
screen, by the way.
what was
We
that?
get that all the time.
Yeah, right. So, like I said, there's a ton of stuff in here you can go through. And then if we broke it down to, if we got rid of that and went here, just so you have an idea, the compliance plus stuff we have, there's 78 results, right? So like workplace abuse training, this would be for the employees, but we also have a version for managers as well, right? So we're usually with everything we have a manager's version as well. Stuff around personal protective equipment, right? We can just keep running through global laws. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. Easiest way to see a lot of that in the topics, your regulatory stuff will be in there, and then risk management stuff as well. So HR and risk management stuff right there. So I know that you guys look like you're already putting a lot of that together already. The Compliance Plus is technically an add-on, so if it's something you wanted to add on to include as part of everything you're doing, by all means you can do that. It's super cheap too. It's not a huge add-on at all. So once you go through, you can actually click on any of these at any time in any training, and you can preview it. If it's another language, it'll show you right there. Open it up. So you'll be able to preview everything you want as you go through here, right? The full-on training, everything like that. Once you figured out what you want to use, you add it to your library. Let's see, it'll say add the library right there. Add it in there. You'll come to the training section. This is if you're going to use ours. Obviously, if you're going to upload it to the other LMS you're going to be using, that's fine, no problem at all. But then you go ahead and create the training, right, and go through, no problem at all. But I know I'm not going to spend too much time here because I know that you guys have something else you plan on rolling out too. But a customer success manager, if you want to use it this way, will show you how to set all that up, no problem at all. The phishing section is going to look very similar too when you go to create it, but email templates, right? So when we send out phishing emails, a lot of times people tell me, hey, we either create them ourselves or it's something someone reported and we send it out. Just so you're aware, we're at about 10,000 email templates you can use, right? It's a ton. You're never going to run out. I started here 2 years ago and that was like 3,500. So we're adding a ton in, and a lot of these templates come from customers. Like these are things that they see and they report them, and then we see them, right? So a ton of stuff in here. My favorite reported fishes of the week, right? As we run through, we can go through and see these are the top 10 phishing emails that are out there in the wild right now. Some of you might have already seen these, right? So you go through, hey, this Google Photos one, right? Storage is 90% full. Click here. This is the stuff your people are going to see, right? There was like this Tinder one right here, right? Now, the first big red flag on this is you probably shouldn't be getting Tinder emails in your work email, put that out there. But there's a lot of this stuff out there. You'll probably see some Amazon Prime stuff coming up soon with the Prime days just going on and everything like that. So you might even start seeing a lot of things like, hey, your order for $700 something from your Prime Day deal just shipped. If this wasn't you, click here. You know what I mean? You'll probably start seeing a lot of those pop up soon. And then we break down, government. We have HR for all the HR stuff, payroll stuff, and HR tickets and things. As far as phishing email templates, IT, so data breach stuff. A lot of this stuff will say, hey, you need to reset your password. Click here, and then the link it brings you to will look like a 365 login page or whatever you want it to be. Right? So you can make these things really realistic as well as you go through. Just so you have an idea of what some of those landing pages look like. My favorite one is going to be the social engineering indicators landing page. So if they click on something, this is what will pop up, right? Hey, you clicked on a test, but it'll show them the email they clicked on with red flags that they can hover over. Now, if you create an email or edit any of ours, you can add these red flags in. That's completely customizable by you, but they can get a quick 15-second training on what to look out for, right? If you want to go really far into that phishing for sensitive information, right? Let's say you use 365, for example. The page that it brings you to can look like this. I'm sure some of you are familiar with what that page looks like, right? They can type in their email address. They can even type in their password. Hit sign in. What it'll do is then bring them to a page like this. They did fail. Don't worry. That information they type in goes away. No one will ever see it. No one knows what was typed in there. There'll be no security breach or anything like that from it. But there's a ton of stuff in there, right? Once you kind of figure out what you want to do, we'll create a phishing test. And this is how easy it is to create. Let's say this is going to be our monthly phishing test, right? It's going to go to everybody. We're going to do it monthly. This means it's going to run automatically. I recommend keeping all this default. Send it out. It'll go over 3 days. So it'll break all of your employees up over 3 days at random times and send them an email. Just change your hours of operation right there so it only sends during those times. Track activity 3 days after the last email went out. Then you choose your categories, right? We'll do reported phishes of the week. We'll do government. We'll do HR and IT. Now, I know this list right here, that's a ton of emails to choose from. How do you pick, right? Well, we have 3 options. Random, the platform will pick an email for you and send it to everybody. My favorite used to be full random, where the platform will randomly assign one of these templates to each person individually, right? So everyone gets something different, so no one can pop up and say, hey, watch out for that Amazon Prime email, like that's going to be a phishing test, right? Sometimes you don't get a full thing, so everyone gets something different. We just recently added in our ADA selected. This is something that's really cool. What it's going to do is really take in the training that you guys have done if you use the LMS within this platform, but mainly focus on the phishing tests that your users have already gotten. Did they pass them or fail them? Things like that. And then it's going to choose an email off this list that's going to challenge that individual employee. So each person will get an email that's challenging to them individually, which makes the training take that much more effect, right? And the testing is that much more effective, if you will. You can choose your landing page and stuff right here, but you'll hit create campaign, and this would literally run every single month. You could come in and look at the reporting and call it a day, right? Now, if you want, you can have multiple phishing tests running at the same time. If I come to campaigns right here, if you saw the one that we have here personally at KnowBe4, there's literally one that goes out monthly to everybody, one that's bi-weekly to everybody. Each department has their own phishing tests that go out like every week or two. I probably see 5 or 6 phishing tests a month, right? You don't have to do that. We recommend at a minimum once a month, but you can go crazy if you want to. The more testing they see, the more this is in front of their face, and the more they're going to, look at every email and say, hey, that looks suspicious, or that one doesn't, whatever it is, right? Again, up to you. This way you can say, hey, if HR is going to get phishing test, you can choose template categories that are related to things that HR might see, things like that. But that's pretty much creating a phishing campaign. And then in the reporting, we can come through and see everything right down here. But my favorite part is if we go into campaigns, I'll open up this one that's been running for about 6 months, right? I choose, let's say, this first one right here. I can see the users. I can see who opened it, who clicked, who reported the email as a phishing test, who entered data. So the people that might have entered data, like I showed you before, all that stuff. So then we can even break down further and say, hey, these people are clicking on stuff, and I can see the email they clicked on as well, right? Maybe we give them training on what to look out for in phishing emails. These people entered data. Maybe we do a different kind of training, right? Things like that. Or I would even look at this and say, hey, these 49 people entered data. Maybe as an IT team, I'm going to go ahead and reset all 49 of these people's passwords. Maybe they've entered their data somewhere else before that I didn't know about, right? Make them all do a password reset, maybe some password training, things like that, right? So really go through there and you can determine what you want to do with the results of that as well, right? And you'll be able to see failures in the first 8 hours and by day and everything like that. Most of your clicks are going to happen in that first 8 hours. So before I move on to the PhishER portion, are there any questions about the phishing training, anything else, anything anyone has before I hop into that for the next couple minutes?
I think we're good.
All right. So PhishER, like I said, something else that we do have. What this is going to do, this is strictly for your IT teams. What this is going to help with is, again, reported emails and when actual threats come in. So to make the, a long story short, let's say I worked on your accounting team. I see an email. I've gone through all the good training and stuff, and I reported it, right? It's going to come in here. First two things it's going to do is hit up your rules, which you can create custom ones, but the big one's Phish machine learning. So your filters and firewalls are going to stop about 90% of these bad emails from coming in, right? What this is going to do is help you with the other 10% that are going to land in their inboxes. It's literally going to take the emails that are reported that come in and put them up against a database of hundreds of thousands of emails that other customers of ours that use PhishER have reported and determined to be clean spam or threat. So it's literally saying, hey, look, we understand that you have a lot of stuff out there stopping a lot of these bad emails, but let's compare against the ones that have made it through all these filters and firewalls and determine if they're clean spam or threat. Most people leave this at 95 for each category. You can slide it up or down if you want to, but essentially it's a confidence level. So each email gets a score of 100 broken up into 3 categories. If it meets or exceeds one of those thresholds, it'll tag it with a clean spam or threat tag. Where PhishER really shines is in the actions. So let's go with that threat tag, right? We all love, when people report emails, hopefully we want to get to the threats as soon as possible. So let's say this determines it's a threat. I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, this is in review, right? It's a critical priority and it's a threat. I'm then going to have an email. You can also have a webhook go out or go to a system log, go out to, right? You can put a group email in here, your IT guys, whoever handles reported emails, whatever you want, that says threat email detected, get to this immediately. And then I can even add in the links and tag information here at the bottom. From there, we're not going to worry about that. This is where it shines, right? You have to choose 2 of the 5. But let's say we do these 4. For 360, this works for 365 in Gmail. For Outlook or Exchange on-prem, it's not quite there yet. But for 365 in Gmail, instead of you having to go look for that email in everyone's inbox, this will then go in back into 365 or Gmail. It's going to go ahead and find all the emails in people's inboxes that match these criteria from the reported email, and then it can actually automatically quarantine them, pull them into PhishER, and quarantine them for you. Right. So a lot of the time spent getting to a threat email has been handled by one person just reporting the email by itself. Saves a ton of time and a ton of stress knowing that something there's helping you out. I always say go back 72 hours just in case the email came in on the weekend. And then what you can do from there is phish flip. So as I'd mentioned before, email comes in, the platform will defang it and make it not a threat anymore, but then it'll send it back out to everybody as a phishing test. And let's see who clicks on it. Right? It's a great point of learning and a great point of training you can put out there. But what better way to train your employees than with the stuff that you're actually getting, the threats that are actually coming in, right? If a ton of people click on an email that was phish flipped, then it's like I said, a great point to go out, maybe do a little bit more training, talk about it, and say, hey, look, this was a real email that came in, but we handled it, everything's fine, but just so you know, this is the kind of stuff that's out there. You really got to look out for it. Things like that. If you want, you can have it save as a phishing template and use it in your phishing test later as well. And just so we have data to back that up, when PhishRip does run, you'll have PhishRip queries. Now, a lot of IT guys really, really enjoy this because you can filter it. And if I'm going to start my search somewhere, let's say a ransomware email did come in, I'm going to look at these red inbox people because they read it and it is found in their inbox. I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, do you remember that email? Oh, yeah. Cool. Did you click on it? I'm not sure. All right, I'll be down there to rip your computer out of the wall real quick. You'll have another one by the end of the day, right? So we have a starting point to look at and say, hey, these are probably the people that clicked, if anybody, and then we can go up from there. So it gives you the information you need, but it also tells you whose inbox it was in. Because if you have 300 employees, it might only have gone to 30 of them. You never know, right? And then there's reporting and things like that in here as well. And setting it up is super simple. I know a lot of times we don't want to take a ton of time in setting this stuff up. So for the fish rip, you come in, let's say for 365, you literally hit add new connection, put your stuff in, it'll ask for some permissions. You say yes, you're good to go. Super simple to set up, right? Well, as we go through, I mean, that's kind of the quick overview of KnowBe4, what we do, the platform that we have, kind of how it works. I really want to open up to any questions anyone has, anything anyone else wants to know or see more of, or anything like that.
Anyone have any questions for Robert? Robert, again, thank you so very much. I really appreciate your time. Great overview of your system, and very valuable system for sure.
Yep. Yeah, no problem. If anyone does have any questions afterwards, I believe that I know that you guys have my contact info. Just reach out to me, let me know. Honestly, at the end of the day, unless someone else here has tried to reach out to you, I would probably be the one that would work with you as well. We can go through a one-on-one demo, no problem at all, answer any questions. I know some people have specific stuff they're looking for. I'm more than happy to do that with anybody. Worst case scenario, someone else, your account's assigned to somebody else. It'll be someone on my team. We handle all of the state, all of Georgia, everything like that. So we can definitely go ahead and definitely get you guys taken care of. Right.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. And we'll, again, we'll be sending out information to folks. We'll definitely share your contact information with people if they want to touch base.